Hi, folks. Good evening, folks. How do you feel today? So, welcome, folks, to Professional Ethics, to session number 7. Okay. So, in this session, folks, we're gonna start with the Unit 2, Ethics and Professional Practice. Okay. So, some of the content that we got for this session, folks, are the social aspects of professions, vocation, and moral conscience, right? So the performance indicators that we got for this are identifies the social dimension of professional ethics, recognizing the relationship between profession and society. Number two, analyzes the role of vocation and moral conscience in ethical professional decision making. Number three, applies applies ethical principles to real or hypothetical professional situations, demonstrating awareness of their social impact. As I said before, folks, welcome to this unit, okay, to the second unit. So in this unit, folks, we will explore how ethics is not about a personal value system, but a fundamental dimension of professional life, right? Remember that every profession, folks, operate within society, and every professional decision has social consequences. So therefore, folks, ethical practice is not optional, okay? Remember this and keep in mind, ethical practice is not optional. It is essential, okay? So in this session, folks, we will also analyze how professional responsibility, vocation, and moral conscience shape ethical behavior and influence the trust society places in professionals, okay? So understanding this concept, folks, will allows us to recognize the social dimension of professional ethics and reflect on our own future professional conduct. Because remember that some of you, this is the last term at university to become into a professional, okay? And some others are in the middle of the process, okay? So let's see here, folks, some the social aspect of profession. So I would like to listen to you. What do you understand by profession? What does profession stand for? What do you think? Well, folks, once that you have thought about the profession and about the definition or description that you got in mind about what a profession is, let me tell you that a profession is a specialized occupation, folks, that requires formal education, okay? Not informal, formal education, training, and ethical standards, right? That exist to serve a specific social needs. For example, if you're studying, if you're getting a formal education to be to be an English teacher or to be an interpreter or to be a translator, so you will be serving to a specific social needs, okay? So in the case of the teachers, you will be serving to the students, right? That social needs students, some institutions, right? So the social dimension, folks, when we talk about profession, refers to the responsibility, right? To the responsibility professional have toward society. Because remember that the work or our work that we do as teachers directly affects individuals, right? Institutions and communities, right? So therefore, professional practice, folks, is based on a social contract, right? Remember that society grants professionals trust, autonomy, and recognition, and in turn expect competence, right? And some values like integrity and responsibility. Some of the characteristics that we got, or some of the social aspects that we got when talking about professions, we got the common good. So the common good, folks, is the well-being of society as a whole, right? We also have the public trust. The public trust, folks, is the confidence, okay? Is the confidence that society places in professionals, okay? And we also have the social responsibility. When we talk about social responsibility, folks, we talk about obligation that we got to act in ways that benefit society and avoid harm, okay? So I got a question as an example for you. So do you think a doctor just protect individual patients? What do you think? I would say no, folks. I would say no. Probably some of you agree with me, some others not. I would say no. Why? Because remember that a doctor, even when you graduate from a doctor, you make a commitment, right? You made a promise. And what is the promise? To follow ethical standards. Why? Because remember that a doctor need to protect public health, not just individual patients, okay? So let's see another example. When a lawyer acts unethically, public trust in the justice system decreases. Yeah. So some people say, that lawyers are liars, right? Because their function is to lie, to convince the audience, the judge, right? So we also have this example, okay? Now let's see some social aspects of vocation. But first, start by describing what vocation is. What do you think is vocation, folks? Well, let me tell you, folks, that vocation is an internal calling or a strong personal inclination toward a profession, right? Characterized by purpose, commitment, and service orientation. For example, if you made up your mind to work as an English teacher, just and you're seeing this profession, this vocation, like a resource, right? Like a resource of receiving money. So let me tell you that probably you will not be acting in the correct way, right? Because for being a teacher, we need to have vocation, right? We need to have that passion to teach to others, right? So, remember also, folks, that vocation goes beyond economic motivation and reflects a desire to contribute meaningfully to society through one's professional role. Another profession that I've always said that if that person doesn't have vocation, so it's not working well, is the medicine when you becomes into a doctor. So you need to have the vocation, you need to have the passion to serve to the community, to serve to the society, right? Because you're gonna deal with patients, right? And we need to respect that. So some of the characteristics that we got, folks, for vocations, we got the commitment, as I said before, right? Remember that vocation connects professional identity with responsibility and ethical dedication. So, and when we got commitment, folks, it doesn't matter if we're talking about short-term or long-term dedication. So in this way, we feel that the professional grows, okay, when we got commitment. Another characteristics that we got for vocation is the service orientation. Remember that here something important is the willingness to prioritize societal needs, right? And I would say that the most important is the professional identity. Why? Because it's in here how the individual understand themselves within their professions, right? Let's see some examples. A nurse who shows empathy and dedication during difficult shifts reflects vocation. Yeah, remember that it doesn't matter if you have been working long hours, okay? So we need to be empathically with the client with the patient in this case as the nurse. Okay. Now let's move on to moral conscious. What do you understand? What comes to your mind, folks, when you listen or when you hear moral conscious? What do you think it is? So let me tell you, folks, that the moral conscious is the internal capacity, right, to distinguish between the right and wrong. So there, I don't know if you remember in the first session that we were talking about what is good, what is evil. Okay, so here moral conscious is that when we got the ability, the capacity to distinguish between right and wrong and to guide actions according to ethical principles, right? Remember that moral conscience is also an inner moral compass, right? That influences professional decision making, especially folks in complex and ambiguous situations, right? Moral conscious folks remember that also involves reflections, ethical judgments, some of the things that we have been discussing in the previous sessions, and personal responsibility. And some of the characteristics that we got for this social aspect is ethical judgment. Remember that in the previous sessions that when we were talking about ethical judgment, we said that it is the ability to evaluate actions morally, right? We also have integrity, one of the values like integrity. This is a consistency between values and actions, okay? We also have moral responsibility. What is this? Is the acceptance of consequences. So when you recognize that you did something wrong, so we need to accept the consequences comes then, right? And we also have the ethical dilemma. So do you remember when we were discussing about ethical dilemma? So it is in here, folks, where a situation, it is a situation, okay? It is a situation where values or principles conflict, okay? So let's see some examples. A professional refusing to falsify documents despite pressure shows moral conscience, right? So before doing something, folks, we need to think carefully what are we going to do and what are going to be the consequences after doing that, right? So, folks, um, as we conclude this unit, remember that professional ethics is not only about following rules or performing tasks efficiently, it is about understanding, right? Understanding that every professional action has social consequences. Something important, folks, that we need to take into account, that we need to keep in mind is that a profession exists to serve society, okay? That vocation gives meaning to that service, and the moral conscience ensures that our decisions protect our human dignity, okay? Our dignity as human being we are, and the common good. And as future professionals that you will do, folks, the question is not only about what will you do, but how responsibly and ethically you will do it, right? Because remember that we got some of the professions that we need to think responsibly and ethically before doing something, right? And remember that ethics defines not only your career, folks, but impact on society, okay? Depends on the actions, on the decisions you make, so that you will have consequences, okay? This could be positive or negative, but you will have it, right? So, folks, that has been all for this session. If there is something that you didn't understand, we can discuss in the virtual session that we will have next Sunday. Okay. Please be connected, all of you. Please be punctual because remember that we got 5 points for attendance and participations. And as usually, folks, I'm gonna change the methodology, the technique that I have been using in the previous sessions. Now, you will find on the platform session 7 the speaking questions. Okay, you can analyze, you can be ready, you can prepare your answers for those questions, and you can be ready for answering when we'll have the virtual session. Okay, so this I do this, folks, because as I said before, we got some participation points, we got some attendance points, and I would like that all of you participate by giving the answers of those questions in the speaking section. Okay. Okay, folks. See you. Bye bye.